Hey, what's happening, everybody? Listen to the Triple T podcast with Jerid and Denis Tyrell. That's right, where the emphasis is on whatever the hell we want to talk about. For as little as $10.80 a year, you can support these guys. That's like 2 gallons of gas. You can't even buy 2 gallons of gasoline for that in California.
You nailed it.
I almost got it.
You're really close.
I was really close. I've only heard it 1,000 times.
I've heard it about 1,001. What's up, everybody? This is Denis Tyrell from Tyrell Knifeworks, and you and I are listening to the Triple T podcast, where emphasis is on whatever the hell we want to talk about.
That's great. We have the one and only Mr. Brian House in the house.
What's happening, everybody?
Hey, our very first guest on the podcast. Brian, do you have any idea why you're here?
I have a little bit of an idea.
Okay. I have Brent might have told you.
And I'm going to guess right now, this is what you're here to tell me. You want me on the show because you two are designing a 2x72 belt grinder and you are going to release a kit and plans like the rest of the world.
You're right. I just wanted your permission.
I know. See this? I knew it.
And a forge.
And a forge.
And a forge. And let's see, belt hangers. And
and we're going to talk about this damn spoon, too. No.
Hey, I might have been the very first. If I was quick enough, I might have been the very first order to get a spoon. Get a spoon making kit.
Get a kit. I don't know who the first person was. It was so crazy how many we sold right away. It was nuts. It was an amazing, successful drop. And so thank you.
I got the email, and in about 15 seconds, I was there and I purchased it, even though I already bought all the stuff to make one myself. But
I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. It was great to see your name and a bunch of other people too that I knew their names as they were coming across on the orders. It was nuts. And we had Pickle here too. And it seems like whenever we have Pickle here, we do some sort of drop, and he, of course, we're wandering around and our phones are all just going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. He's like, geez, guys, what the heck, And I'm like, it's normally not like this. This is like a drop day. So, but yeah, it was awesome. So we've ordered a bunch more material to it's obviously going to be a successful product release. So we're just going to make a few hundred more and keep them in stock now. So
yeah, and honestly, awesome. The reason I pulled the trigger so quickly, I thought they were going to be more expensive. When I saw like $99, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that's worth my time right there.
Yeah. You get a swage, you get the kit to make one scoop, and you get the top tool, to push everything down.
Yeah,
so and there's a margin in it. We made a little money on each one. So, it definitely there's a lot of time invested in the process, but when you do a bunch at once, it's not a big deal for us to press them out. So, yeah. Super fun project.
Are you going to make the DXF files available for the...
I don't know. I've thought about that. I've been asked that a few times, and I'm not quite sure I want to do that just yet. I just kind of want to see what everybody does with them first, and then because there are people who want to produce these and sell them, and I want to make sure that I think there's some folks who are a little confused as to like what they can do with my files, and they take them and then they just share them with the world and send them out there. And I'm kind of thinking like I might do that down the line, like maybe a few months from now, where I've recouped my money and whatever. But the Brian House in me says, oh yeah, I should do that. I really want to do that because I just really want everybody to be able to sell these and make money. But I've got to recoup my money first, I think. So then eventually I'll probably get into that because we've got other designs coming down the line. Different shaped scoops and different handles, like the way they kind of curve up and underneath, different swage blocks. And we've already kind of just started developing that, and also like looking at, okay, what would it take for us to make a ladle, or what would it take for us to make a slotted spoon, or, things like that. So now my mind is clicking in just a million ways, because I think what's going on with Instagram and all the sharp pointy things, people are getting frustrated with that process. And I think the market might be a little bit saturated. There's a lot of knife makers doing the same things. To give them an option like a spoon or a scoop or a fork or whatever we might come up with that they can kind of just pump out and put on their table. If you've listened to the Work For It podcast, you know, like I say, like, look, a guy walks up to your table at a farmer's market or a blade show or wherever, you got $500 to $300 to $500 knives on there, maybe even more expensive, but you've got a $60, $75 scoop. They walk away with a scoop. They've got a piece of your work. You've broken the ice now with that customer. They've done business with you one time. Chances of them returning to buy something else is much greater than was before. So that was the whole
Absolutely.
point of this. And I wanted guys to get inspired to keep making things. There's a lot of mental health benefits of using your hands and doing that kind of work. Plus, it's really fun to make a freaking scoop. It's really fun. The way we have it laid out, there's not a lot of brain work. We took all that out, so you get a chance to focus on the texturing, the finish, and how the peening of the rivets, and you can do it in like an hour. If you just don't rush through it, you don't need to rush through it, and you don't need a lot of tools. So it's a win, right? I feel very good about it, and I was blown away by how many we sold. It was just unbelievable. So, man, what a blessing.
So you mentioned farmers market and things like that. So now I want to get into the reason why we have you here.
Okay.
So
man, we're diving right in.
We're diving right in because
just pull them right off.
We're gonna rip the Band-Aid off here. So last Friday, 2 days ago, we record this on a Sunday. So last Friday, I put in my notice at work and have officially retired. So now I'm still on until the end of June, but I will be full time starting right after the July 4th weekend.
Fantastic. Okay, so are we going to sit down, like, are we going to have the conversation now, like how this is possible? Because I know you and I kind of had a discussion, a private discussion between you and me at the foundry about you wanting to do this, and you had mentioned, like, I think I could swing it if I do X, Y, and Z. Is that what's happening? Or
yes, that's exactly. And I wanted to have you on here first to just thank you for all the inspiration. And I think without your guidance, inspiration, just being a friend, I don't know that this would have happened. Because
really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would have had the idea that I could do it without hearing some stories and hearing what you do on Work For It. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. Like, really, I honestly,
I know. Yeah.
It's been a big factor. So I really thank you. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, is for that. But the way it's come down, we're staying in California, and I'm not going to get into all my financials and stuff like that, but it's expensive in California, right? Like,
Sure.
cost of living is expensive, crazy. Like, I think it would be very, very hard just to be a knife maker in California.
Yes.
So I'm technically retiring, right? I'm, for everybody, if you don't know already, I work in high tech. I'm a director of engineering at a software company. I am retiring from IT. Okay, done. Similar to what you did. You were in high tech computers, you had your own business, something like that. But for me to be able to do this, basically sold off a bunch of stock, paid off the house, and just reduced that nut, right? So now the bills are tiny. My wife still works and she loves her job. So for me, it's a smaller, it's much less risk now, because no mortgage, I got to pay property taxes, I got to pay, some bills every month, but that's about it. So that's why I've pulled the trigger. I'm going to be amping up on the content creation. I'm going to be doing probably some high-end commissions that will be YouTube built. So I'll do a lot more for YouTube. And then, of course, I'll do the monthly, probably like what Brent does, like maybe a batch of knives a month or something like that. And then the tooling, which, very well with the sharpeners and now the sanding machine that's just about to come out.
Yeah. This
which,
is
which has been
great.
exciting. But yeah, I mean, the two people I need to thank, like you, and of course my wife, who has been the most supportive person ever. We've been together. It'll be 5 years in June. So I couldn't imagine doing this without her. So it's crazy. So this weekend has just been a whirlwind of like emotion, a little bit of fear, but a
Yeah.
lot of mostly happiness and looking forward to it. Right now I'm cranking out knives for Blade Show, but I'm expecting parts for the final parts for the sanding machine today. So all this stuff's kind of culminating quickly. So
This is like such a big deal to hear you announce this, because it puts things into perspective for people when they start to think about, like, in terms of like, hey, I want to do this too. This is my dream. I want to work for myself. A lot of people think that, entrepreneurial endeavors are very, flashy and full of, like, it's like, the first thing I say is like, what's your overhead look like? Like, what's your mortgage look like? What's all this look like? Because when you have debt and monthly commitments that are up here, you need to drop them and reduce them so that when you do go full time, you don't need that treasure chest of cash. You can actually do it because you're not, the outlay is there. Humans need three basic things: food, water, and shelter. And those are damn expensive pretty much everywhere. Really expensive in California. And so if you can reduce all the costs that go down, and Kim is open to you doing this and supporting you while you do this, which is huge. I think I'm gonna make myself a note here that says send world's best sugar mama T-shirt to Kim sometime in July. I'll be making sure that gets sent over to her. But I'll tell you what, man, you got it. If anybody can do it, it's you. I know you can, and because you've set yourself up for success. You made a very conscious choice to not just dive right in and like go for it. It's calculated. So that's pretty great.
yeah, and I'm still working out things like in my head. I always work out like what are my percentages of like content creation versus knives versus tools. And I'm always playing with these percentages in my head. Is it like 50% content creation? Is it, and I'm sure these are going to change. So it's just stuff that I think about because I know what, between Patreon and YouTube, and I know what I'm making now. And it's all about where do I put my time? Where do I put more time into making knives? Do I put more time into doing commissions? So that's the kind of thing that I wouldn't say keeps me up at night, but it kind of drives me as to what's next. What do I want to focus on?
That path will become very clear to you in your first year of doing this work.
Right.
It will become so clear. I didn't know where Housemaid was going to take me. I had no idea that I would be making copper and brass scoop kits. I mean, who would have ever thought that? Like, who could come up with that concept? Like, you don't know. And I think that's kind of the beauty of working for yourself. When you do this work, you find all these like outside income streams that kind of diversify themselves a little bit, and then you go, I really enjoy that though. I would really like to kind of pursue that, and you have the freedom to do so. And then when your mind isn't focused on something else like your day job, you can actually do it. You can take some time and energy, because most of the material and everything is affordable. Like, it's not expensive. It's just the time. Where are you going to find the time to develop like these things that you're making? Like, I'm sure you figured that out when you did the hand sanding machine. It's like, this is eating up a ton of time, it's taking away from all these other things I'm doing, but you're hoping to bank on the profit in the future when they start to sell. So you knew what you were doing, and man, congratulations, dude. This is huge.
Thank you.
This is
Yeah.
huge.
And you said freedom, and I want to tell a story. This is when I was probably, it would have been early 90s. No, late 90s. Yeah, late 90s. Sorry. And I remember in Canada, there's this insurance company called London Life, right? And London Life had this commercial, and it was called Freedom 55. And it was all about, like basically do your investments, and at 55 you'll have freedom and you'll be able to, and back then, this is like late 90s, like you couldn't throw a dart at a stock chart of high-tech companies and like not hit one that was going up, right? And I remember being on the golf course with a colleague, a guy that I worked with, and we were seriously talking about it as if it was the Freedom 35 plan. We were like, if the stocks just keep going up, and we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna retire at 35. And I remember thinking like there was this goal of like this much money, and it wasn't about having something to do, about having a hobby. It was about growing that income, that big whatever bank account, until it was so many dollars that we would have the Freedom 30. And of course, like, the .com bust happened, and stuff happened. And I always remember that discussion about the Freedom 30. We called it the Freedom 35 plan, and I think we referred to that for at least a year, of because I don't even think I was 30 yet. And if the stock chart just keeps doing what it's going to do for the next 6 years, we would have retired, which was like absurd at 35. But yeah.
And you're totally focused on freeing yourself up from all, because when you're in your 30s, you're so busy, you're building a family, usually having kids or whatever, and your time is gone. Like, you have no energy after your day because you've done all these things, and all you want to do is free yourself up so that you can go pursue your true passions, like whatever they might be back then. And I get that. It makes sense. I never honestly thought that I would make any money to the point where I would be able to retire, without Social Security. I always thought, like, I'm gonna need that Social Security money. And, when I started Housemaid, it became evident that this is going to be way more profitable than what I was doing before. I realized, like, I'm onto something here. Like, this has got to be it. And then it's kind of crazy because now I don't want to retire. Like, I love the work I do, so it doesn't feel like work. I'd probably slow down. It's just, the work that I'm doing is my true purpose. So if I stop that and don't continue doing that, I would just I would probably lose my mind, because I want to be. I basically have to talk myself out of going to the shop on the weekends. I need downtime, and you're going to find the same thing.
Yeah. And
I think.
I was talking to my buddy Rick today, and we were talking about, oh, he's like, I haven't been to the shop in a week. I'm like, I don't think there is a time in the last 3 years, unless I was out of the country, where I wasn't in the shop at least once every 2 days, usually
Sure.
every day. I mean, the shop is my garage, right? But still, but I mean, to go in and actually do something. And if you would have asked me 7 or 8 years ago, would you like retiring and making knives or anything like that? I'm like, that's crazy talk. Like, I was going through a divorce. I was, had just met Kim 7 years ago, this week, as a matter of fact. It's crazy to me. Like, it never would have happened. And then now, 7 years later, to be sitting here being on a podcast, talking to people about, retiring is just nutty, but it's exciting.
Good things happen to good people, and people that work hard. They find these successes, and success isn't always about money. It's about time, finding your purpose and passions in life, and pursuing creative endeavors, all these things. It's like, I think a lot of people confuse, money and success and all of that, because I used to work for a lot of very rich, miserable people that, they had more money than God, and they were just all on antidepressants and, just anxiety medications, because, their lives were not what they had been kind of sold this package, the American dream of work your ass off, make a ton of money, and then you can um, do whatever you want, or whatever, and find that freedom. But the reality is in America today, now, we are in the world, really, not just in America, you have the ability to go out and pursue those passions, share your journey, and get noticed by a bunch of people, and hopefully they'll support your work like they do with us. And so it's just like one of those things where I have to pinch myself on the daily, especially like with the scoop project. When I sold some handmade scoops that I made, like people came to me and said like, "Hey, I don't want to buy the kit. Can you just make me that scoop and I'll buy it from you?" And I was like, "Sure." And I sent them an invoice and they paid it like within 5 minutes. I was like, wow. I mean, I sell a lot of things, right? I sell machines and I sell whatever, but it's different when you sell a piece of like your creative art. I felt like it was a piece of my art that I sold, and somebody was willing to pay, a pretty penny for it, and one guy even asked me to sign it. He says, "Will you take like a scratch all and just sign your initials into the copper somewhere?" And I said, "Well, I could laser etch it for you. I'll like put my name on it somewhere." He goes, "No, no, no. I need you to do it." And I was like, "Okay, that's no problem." He goes, "Because it's going to be worth a lot of money one day. That thing is going to be." And I went, "Whoa, like, man, that's so cool that somebody thought about this." And it wasn't somebody in my immediate circle either. This was somebody that had gotten stuck in my messages, in the hidden messages in Instagram. And Sarah showed me how to dig those messages out. And I responded to this person, and he wanted to buy a signed scoop for me, and felt as if I'm going places or whatever. And I was just like, wow, that blew my mind, and it really made me feel like, okay, I can do some of this stuff and be more creative and create things and sell them and make a living. Because 20 years ago, sitting in my sculpture classes, thinking I'll never make a single dime doing creative work. I just was sitting there thinking that, like, I wish I could, but I don't think I have what it takes. And somehow here we are. So,
And that was your post the other day about selling artwork, right?
yeah, that was
Nice.
it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of people commenting on that. That was like, it was neat to see people like, what did you sell? And what is it? And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's my scoops, man. That's like the coolest thing. So,
I remember when we first met in person at Blade Show, and I met you outside the door of Blade Show, and we walked in, and remember that guy grabbed you, and like walking around with you at Blade Show, you can't go 20 feet without someone wanting to talk to Brian.
yeah.
And I was a nobody then, like nobody who knew who I was then, so it was entertaining to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then now it's the same thing with you, though. Now we walk around together, or I see you, and you're getting pulled in every which direction too. So it's pretty great
Yeah,
to watch.
it's crazy. I remember I wanted to tell this story. The first time we ever talked was when Aaron put that call together when we were arranging um, the first challenge, and we said,
Yeah.
"Oh, we better get everybody on a phone call," and we did. And I remember I had just got my Broadbeck grinder, and I remember I was so excited. I'm like so excited about getting my grinder, and then you said something like, I make grinders, right?" I felt like, oh my god, I stuck my foot in my mouth. Do you remember?
I was just busting your balls.
I know. I didn't even know you, right? So I'm like, oh, maybe he's really pissed off.
Oh
I don't
shit!
know.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right. You had flown in for Blade Show, and when we met in person, but you were only there for like one day or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you in
No,
and out.
yeah, I had taken a midnight flight, like
That's
a
right.
red eye flight. I had just got there the Friday morning, so I was a little out of it. Hadn't slept, did the whole Blade Show, so I hadn't slept. And then, and I was there for 2 days, so it was like Friday, Saturday, or sorry, no, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, Saturday.
It was pretty great, and because you had put together the challenges, I was still just trying to make a go of it, creating content. I really didn't know where I was going, but doing the grinder thing and selling some kits. So I was just kind of in my early stages of developing Housemade and what that would mean and what it would look like. But I really knew, like in the beginning, that I could watch your work, see your work, and think like, yeah, Denis is going to go somewhere. Like it's obvious that he's committed to this, and that there's a few people that have approached me over the years that say they're going to do that and then don't, and you can kind of smell it out, like almost immediately, like these people really want to create content. They have the best intentions, but they don't actually follow through, and they don't do it. Well, you have been a pillar of the community. You like really created something with the challenges. that brought like so many people into the fold. And I say this now too in some of my YouTube videos, is that my primary goal with Housemate is to inspire people to make. That's it. If I can do that and I can keep people coming back to their workshops, that means they'll buy my tools or someone else's. They'll be making things that we make. They'll be, talking about the things that we're doing. And whether or not that's directly or indirectly related to revenue or profit margin doesn't matter to me. But I have a feeling that it does actually matter, because this economy, the maker economy, is huge. It's enormous. But I feel like there's so much more to do. There's just so much. We're just at the tip of the iceberg here. And there's certain people like yourself who have committed to that, because you really do love it, Denis. I can tell. You are so committed to this. I mean, you get excited about all of the things that are happening around you. You travel, you go to all the blade shows, you go to Maker Camp, you do all, because you don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
There's very few people like that,
Jared's
Jared's,
giving me the finger because
yeah.
of Maker Camp last year, and I made him go last minute and cost us a fortune.
But wasn't it great, Jerid? I mean, we were all hanging out in New York together at Maker Camp. And wasn't that just the greatest experience? I had such a blast.
No, it's fantastic, and I mean, what you guys are saying, like, it's kind of weird right now because I feel like I'm listening to a podcast with you guys talking right now, because I'm going to chime in, but I don't want to interrupt this, conversation that you guys are having, because we're always learning and trying to take all this stuff in, and just for me, my part right now is like talking about like all the planning that it takes for someone to actually reach this pinnacle of their life, to where they can cash it all in and they have the option to make a decision to do what they love, right? Especially in our area, right? Like that's a distant future for myself, right? So I was teasing Dennis the other day and telling him I've never been so happy and wanted to kick someone in the dick so at the same time, because like I am so inspired for my friend to be in this spot, right? To have this opportunity to, pursue what I have witnessed, and as much as, all this, goody feely good stuff, which I encourage and love. I'm watching Dennis squirm as he's, talking about emotion. It's just hilarious, guys. I wish you guys could see it, because, but I mean, how awesome that is to, be a part of and watch it transpire. Because, when I met Dennis, he was like not the guy that we're talking to right now. He just took off on this meteoric rise to, you know to who he is now, and inspires and influences, however the hell you want to say, all of these people. And I think congrats, dude. I mean, you really deserve it. I'm excited and for you, to for what is to come, because it's just it's really cool, dude.
I have a question for you, Jerid. So you sit amongst these, all of us talking about this stuff, and I know you love your work, because I've talked to Brent, and you're close with Brent,
Mhm.
and I know you really enjoy your work. But in the back of your mind, are you formulating an exit strategy? It might be 10 years, it might be 20 years. I mean, who knows? But I know your passion for knife making, but I don't know your passion on the business side. Like, is it something that you have thought about, like, hey, I would really like to turn this into it? Or is knife making for you more of a, hey, this is a mental health thing. I love being out there making knives, and if I sell them, great. If I don't sell them, or whatever. Give me the elevator pitch on what this is for you.
So uh, being newer to making in general, and I think the caveat to that is that I have never pursued this kind of creative outlet in my life. Like it's always been music, sports, some other kind of thing, right? So how I landed here and to have the opportunity, to do something that could potentially be a business here, right? I my personal work, um, translates into, the opportunity to have my own, business on the side, right? But it's fairly, it's organic the way that happens, right? So it starts for me to learn how to make, right? first off, I want to get the confidence behind what I'm making, how I'm doing it. Is it, you know, do I stand behind it and want to go there? But I get so much data from watching people grow, like, from just from the short time I've known you, Dennis, Brent, Pickle, on and on and on, about the people that this is their livelihood, right? And I realize that I have a lot to learn as far as, putting this into a potential business, right? So currently, right now, Jerid sits with, I have a job, I have a responsibility to my family to make sure that they eat and they take care, they're taken care of, like you said, food, water, shelter. And in the background, definitely, watching and learning as I grow, and finding out that there's a lot more to on the horizon, as far as, because I've seen a lot of people, even in my short time, start making full time and then have to back out, right? And I don't want that to be my experience, because, like you said, this is, for me, is a mental health. It's a hobby. It's an outlet. It's an expression of who I am and what I feel, in a manner that I've never been able to, project and share with the community that's been obviously overwhelmingly positive and inclusive, right? I mean, I'll kind of segue into another story here that I think is hilarious, because I had some family over the other day, yesterday actually, and we were I've had a knife that I actually ground this knife on the True Tilt at the foundry with Brent. This exact knife, I had saved it, like, so. I had some stuff happen to it where I wasn't sure how I wanted to end up finishing it, so I put it away. Right, my cousin comes into town this yesterday, and I wanted to finish it for him, so I remembered about a week ago. So I get it all together. We're in the shop yesterday, and we're, looking at the knife, and I'm kind of going through, and I have to sand the handles, make a sheath and sharpen it and do a couple things. In the meantime, I have a small collection of knives, from, people, from folders down to this. But so this fucking guy picks up Brent from Baldman's thicker clipper, and all of a sudden, he just, like, this is the holy grail of knives, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm working on a knife for him that I'm making, right? And he's just going on and on and on about the thicker clipper and da 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 da. And for a brief moment, I was like, "This motherfucker," right? And then I started thinking to myself, like, how I stand behind what Brent does, right? I purchased this knife because of everything this guy is saying about it, right? So in this weird moment, right, where I'm in my shop gifting a knife to somebody, I turn into a salesman for Brent Smith, the bald man knife and tool. And I'm like, dude, you know what? I 100% stand behind this knife, dude. I said, in fact, here, take it with you, carry it with you, and then, and give it back. And I talked to Brent today earlier, and I said, you're, I sold you a knife today, you know. But that's the opportunity that we get into, because although we are in competition, right, as makers, selling the same product and stuff, but stepping back and having that, humility to be able to support my friend, and, somebody who makes a wonderful product, and push that, even in the circumstance where I'm in my own shop with all my shit standing around, and trying to, get out of my own way to let this guy get what he wants, right? So I thought that was a really humbling experience, in a moment, that kind of led me to, back to your original question, is to, one day I do want to do this, right? I think I do, but I'm always hesitant to jump into the point to where this becomes a job, and then I lose interest and the passion for it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here in my spot right now, and enjoy the fruits of the opportunities to earn income doing something that I love, while unfortunately, but, because responsibilities dictate that I have to have a job, and I have to work, and I have to, provide for my family. So I sit here with my notepad, I take lessons, I learn, I listen to people like Brian and Dennis, kind of share their journey and experience and wisdom. for the opportunity that is, 5-10 years out to where, I can transition into supplementing, this incredibly expensive economy that I live in. Yeah.
And expensive hobby too,
An
by the way.
expensive hobby, yeah. And maybe it not relocate. But I am super grateful that Dennis didn't leave California, though. That would have been a
That
bummer.
is great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was when he was saying that he was mentioning that he might move out of the state. I was like, I don't know, man. You're like got a lot of roots there, and California is great for a lot of ways. The Bay Area. I spent some time there 20 years ago and was really I fell in love with it. I think it was just even back then it was a lot of people. Now I live in Florida where there's like 23 million people all around me all the time now. So I guess it really doesn't matter much. But one of the things you said, Jerid, was about the incredible community that is the metalworking knife making community. And I have interesting anecdote about that. So, Housemate has been looking into getting our FFL, our federal firearms license,
Oh, I
so
didn't
that
know
we
that.
can so we can manufacture guns. But it's kind of a side project, and it may never happen. And I'm just kind of in the first, looking into it and stuff. And actually, now that I now that I've done this one thing, I don't know how much further I'm going to go into it. So we went to a gun show. So Pickle flies in from from Canada to Florida on Saturday. Sunday morning, we all get up and we drive to this gun show in Florida. Now, if you've never been to a gun show in Florida, it's great. You pay the fee, you go. It's great. The people watching, there's people just with guns on their shoulders. Florida is no joke, the wild, wild west. It is like, that was like the true stamp on the letter where I was like, yeah, this is lawless. Like, there's one police officer for this huge show. It's like Blade Show, but it's all just guns, right? And when we walk into this big auditorium, it's not as big as Blade Atlanta. It's probably like maybe like the size of the small room at Blade. And we're walking through, and I've got Dexter and my daughter with me, and Sarah's there, Pickle's there. We're just wandering around, and I turn to Pickle and I go, "Notice how quiet it is in here." Like it was like everybody was talking. There was people talking, but it wasn't like Blade Show, right? When we all get together at Blade Show, when you walk into the big room, right? It's it's like a high school pep rally. I mean, there's just everybody's talking. There's so much conversing going on and sharing of information. At the gun show, there's none of that. It is all men from. They're all selling the same shit, by the way. Everybody's got ARs and everybody's got the same guns, and they're all just different reps from different gun manufacturers or whatever. And I'm like, this is so odd. It's such a different energy. It wasn't a bad energy. It was just a different energy. Nobody was sharing information, right?
Yep.
Now, there were a few knife makers there, and there were guys selling knives they made. And I had a guy like right to my face as I'm holding a knife that was clearly not made by him. And he's telling me he made it. And he doesn't know who he's talking to, right? So he's just telling me about how he made the Damascus. And now this is a $20 knife, and it's a Damascus knife with a sheath. He's telling me he hand stitched the sheath himself, and that he made the knife himself. And it's all very, very clear where it's made.
I
I'm
can
looking
see
at
the
this.
knife right now. I
Oh
have a
my!
picture of it on my head.
You know the knife. It's got the segmented scales with red and white, and
Sure,
yeah.
big
So,
bolster.
yeah, big bolster. And the guy is in my face telling me how he pressed the steel himself and that blah blah blah. And I'm just like, this would never happen at Blade Show. Like it's just like this is such a different thing, you know. But I started really thinking about how much I love this community of people, especially like when we come out with Scoop Kits and everybody supports that project and they push and tell everybody, I'm so excited to do this project. Brian came out with it, and it's that kind of thing that made me realize I'm standing in this room, a bunch of guys selling guns. You would think it's like kind of like cool and whatever. It is. No one is talking. The vendors aren't talking to each other. No one's talking to each other. Everybody's all man for himself. And then you walk into a Blade Show, and it's just everybody sharing knowledge and pushing their ideas and sharing ideas. And this goes on for 3 solid days. It never stops. And that's how I know I'm in the right community, because I'm the same way. I was born that way. I love sharing the data. I love sharing it out there. So And by the way, Jerid, when you do like get into position, when you're ready to move into like more serious talks about the business side, you'll have an enormous database of people to call at any time, and you'll be able to say, "Hey, how do I do this?" Simple as that, and we'll all pitch in and help.
Yep.
So, and I'll
Absolutely.
I'll be like, all right, Jerid. First step is go on my website, buy my Guru package. It's only $1,000, and it's going to walk you through the LLC creation process and everything else. And then you have direct access to me. I'll be like that guy washing his Rolls Royce with the suds thing. What was that guy's name?
Yeah. Hey,
Selling Guru classes.
whatever happened to I don't know, the Bryan House University or whatever?
Oh man, we shot like a couple of them, and they just went in the can and never came out. What it was is we did not anticipate how much time it was going to take to do that project. And so I said, if we can't do this correctly, we're not going to push this out. We don't have the time. We just didn't have the time or the resources to do it. And what I was realizing was, as I was pushing House Made You, and I'm creating it and spending all these days, me and Brent together, and all of our other work was falling to the wayside. And we realized, like, this is not sustainable. Like, we would have to pick and just do one or the other. And unfortunately, we have to make money. We had to choose, to continue on. And so I dove deeper into like the Tsunami project and all of that, but it is still a thing, and we have like a bunch of content around it. It's just I did not feel comfortable releasing it because I didn't think we could support it.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately.
that kind of content. Like any content is obviously a lot of work, but content like that, like I look at Kyle Royer's course, the knife maker. Um, and I actually reached out to Morocco and I said, Morocco, you need to do this. Like you would have, and he's like, I don't know how to get started, and now I'm thinking back, like, yeah, that's a shit ton of work.
Shit ton of work. It's so much
Um,
work,
yeah,
and you're answering questions a lot, and you're doing a lot of customer facing interactions that may not result in any margin. You really got to prepare yourself for something like that and have a lot in place so that it can either somehow figure out how to make money with it. And I think, I'm assuming Kyle's doing well with it,
yeah,
Kyle Royer,
yeah,
and I'm assuming that he's doing great. And by the way, if you don't know this, he's doing a 15-day free trial on his deal. So you can go check that out for 15 days and just get a feel for what he's up to. Um, I would
so
imagine that program is insanely detail oriented. Like it's
yeah. I mean,
probably
I pay
amazing.
for it, and it's like it is like the deep dive, like where I would do a video on building a knife in maybe 40 minutes. It's like 8 hours of videos. Like it's like
Well,
super.
you're kind of doing that, aren't you, with your beginner bladesmith
Yeah.
not
Actually,
program, but your video series?
yeah, I am for the beginner series, and I did want to talk about that because some of the reasons for redoing that course, um, I'm borrowing ideas out of your head of like, oh well, I got to do some self promotion. I got to integrate the surface grinder, which means mag chucks. I got to talk about the um the sharpening system, and like that's why I wanted to redo that whole series. Yes, I mean I've learned new stuff and I wanted to refresh it, and it was just a way to get content out there. But it was also for, hey, I want to sell more sharpeners. I want to sell. So
Yeah, yeah, and you could remake this series 20 times, and it
yeah,
would be different every time. And there's a certain section of people. Remember, I don't know if you heard me talking about the swimming pool analogy about the marketing and
yep,
how you have a swimming pool, and there's 100 people in that swimming pool, and you're selling to that 100 people, and that's your marketplace. And remember that some of those people are getting out of the pool, but at the same time, more people are getting in the pool. So when you create content, you create anything at all that you've got new folks, new faces that are inside of that swimming pool that are buying from you, or at least looking at your stuff. So like I'll push content out there that's kind of similar all the time, and it's just like, okay, people ask me this question all the time. I've answered it like 50 times. or I've answered it with a video, but I made that video 3 years ago. Let's make it again. Let's do it again. And it always gets views, and it gets drives revenue, and it does all those things. So it's like, what I've learned is don't overthink it. Just, half of the job of you to do any marketing at all is actually just reminding customers that you exist. That is it.
Totally.
So if you look at any of my content, some of the most goofy stuff, like Steve Calb came to the shop and we literally forged out a dick and balls. And we made a piece of content about this, and it's hilarious and fun. And it was just a quick, like, black and white photography type deal that Sarah shot. And then we made a fun reel about it. And some people were like, oh, this is very junior high or whatever. I'm like, who the hell do you think I'm selling to? I'm selling to a bunch of 30 to 50-year-old dudes who all think like me. They're all middle schoolers. That's my customer. So if I forge out a dick and balls and we have a great time and we hang it from my anvil, that's fun and people like it. And they're like, I can't believe you're letting Pickle light a joint on your business profile and your business page and stuff. And then Jay Nielsen, right after that, he lights up and does a reel. And then Nick Rossi does it. And like all these guys do it. And you're like, see, it's not that hard. Like everybody's okay with everybody, having a beer. But the second somebody lights a joint, it's like, oh, no, So, and by the way, this isn't how, when people do business now, they do business with whom they know and whom they like, right?
Exactly. Who they like.
And so who they like. So am I going to be the stuffed shirt selling grinders and forges and scoops and bullshit? No, like I'm a real person, and I think that's a reason for our success is that people go, I know if I buy something from Brian, it's from him and his team, and I know they're a bunch of goofballs, but I'm going to get what I paid for.
If anyone can take away something, it's that point right there, is that they're not, they're buying what you're selling, like they're buying the product, but they're buying a chance to interact with you. Like that is the, I think that's the number one thing of your success at Housemade is people love you. Like people love working with you. They love what you make. They want to support you. And that of anything, I've learned that the most from you, from WFI, and Chris. Why am I blanking on his last name?
Cash or Powell?
Powell.
Chris Cash?
Okay.
Chris Powell.
Yeah. About like that and the old thing of like there's no such thing as bad PR, right?
That's right.
And he's the master of that. Like just get people to look at you and be likable, and that's half the battle.
That's it. If you could get their attention, Gary Vee talks about this all the time, that attention is the number one commodity now, because there's so many platforms and so many ways to like pull your eyes away from what your audience is looking at. They've got all those streaming platforms on their television. They have all these social media platforms. Like, how do you get people to look at your stuff? And it's just like, okay, I don't know. I guess we're forging dick and balls now. I guess that's the answer. I don't know. We're just going to try it. Awesome. Let's see if it doesn't work. Yeah, it works. And so if you think outside the box a little bit, you can be super successful. You can make something of yourself, and then you get a chance to pick what you want to do with all that attention. That's what we're doing now. Is like, I really want to do this kitchen tools thing. Like we're making more of these kits for kitchen tools where guys make their own. Like, think about this. There's so many guys out there with a press. There's so many guys out there with a forge, and there's so many guys out there with a grinder. And if you have those three tools, knives are not the only thing that you can make with those things. There's a lot you can do with those tools. So let's like roll out a whole series of these things and sell the tools along the way, create the tools along the way for that customer, and build a bigger customer database of people who are making things. And a lot of these guys are just making it because they want to. It's so funny. I'll have guys that buy my grinder kit and go, I don't really know what I want to do with it, but I'm going to build it. I want to build it. And I'm like, okay, build it. Go for it.
The one thing that stands out to me right now is that, Dennis, you had me make a leaf. We could have made a dick and balls. You made me make a fucking leaf.
Well, it's to cover your dick and balls, okay? It's a fig leaf.
Well, it was appropriately sized. Yeah. Touche. Yeah, that was pretty good there, old man. I like that.
I did have my my daughter's boyfriend in the shop yesterday because he was just over, and I said, "Hey, do you want to come forge something?" And of course, he was mesmerized by the induction forge, and
It's mesmerizing.
same thing, got him to make a leaf, and I was like, "Damn, that leaf's better than mine." He did really good. But yeah, I
Gotta
love
love
those little
that.
projects. I got to find more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the little projects like that are what spawn bigger ideas in people. When they have success making something small like a leaf, it's like then they go, "Oh, what else can we make?" And then bang, you just planted a seed, you know.
Yeah. But what you were saying, there's so many other things like little frying pans, the little barbecue set, where it's like the tripod that the pot hangs from, like over a fire. Like there's so many little things like that that you can make. Some are just simple forging projects. Some need a mold, but there's all kinds of cool things to make.
Yeah, and all these guys have the tools to do it because they got into knives. They wanted to make knives initially, and there are a bunch of guys that go into knife making and go gung ho. They buy all the tools, and then they realize, oh shit, it's not for me. Like I don't have the patience to do this, but I do like working with my hands. So what else can we do? And if we could just feed them these projects and tell them like, hey, this is the next thing. Let's try this. I think it can be a success, and it also keeps people making things, keeps people out of trouble, right? And hopefully you make a little money on the side with it because that's ultimately my goal was always to have a side hustle, doing this. That was how I got into all this was I was making knives in my garage. And it was funny because Pickle was just here and he's looking at all my knives on my knife board and I have probably 4 or 5 of my own knives. And he says, "Man, this knife is really clean. You did a great job on this knife." I was like, "That's my first knife. That's the first thing I ever made." And he was like, "Wow, this is really great." And he was really complimenting me. By the way, when Pickle gives you compliment like that, you got to take it because he's never doesn't he
Yeah,
doesn't blow smoke
he's
up
not full
your
of
ass.
shit.
No, he's not. And I was like, "Damn, that's really cool." So to hear somebody actually compliment my knife making was really great, But I got sidetracked with other stuff. I went
Sure.
off and did other things, but yeah.
Here's the question I have. How many tables at Blade Show are going to have copper spoons or spoons of some sort from your thing on them? That's what I
I
want to
think a
know.
lot. I think a lot. I think a lot. There'll definitely be a bunch, but I think what's going to be interesting to hear is guys that say, "Oh, I don't have your scoop because I sold it right away when I made it." I made that scoop and then it just sold right away because, gosh, every time I show those scoops, it goes crazy on Instagram and Facebook. Millions of views. People love that, and they, for whatever reason, that is the draw. And yeah, they should sell for everybody. So hopefully,
Yeah.
it just keeps going.
Well, not just for, I don't know if I'm going to get time to make some for Blade Show because maybe I will. I'm sure I'll make the one that comes in the kit. It's
Sure.
just whether I make 10 more, we'll see.
It's,
But
it's not like you have a fucking job.
I do have a job until end of June, but I'm taking the week before Blade Show off, so I'll have that week. But I procrastinated making sheaths, so I think I'm going to be making a buttload of sheaths that week. But in the summer here, there's a farmer's market, and I'm going to see if I can get a table at the farmer's market. And that's when you mentioned that, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why I wanted them for something like that, because you're right. It's, and I was last episode, I was talking about this poker game, right? And you talk to people, they just have no concept of like how much a custom knife costs, right? And they're not prepared to spend $300, $400, $500, and that's like a low end knife, right? Like they're not prepared to spend that kind of money. But the 40, 50, whatever you're going to charge for the spoon, that's right there. Or even the little trinkets. Who had an awesome idea last year? That Niels Vandenberg. Did you see what he was doing last year?
No.
So he had Automacarta. So he had these. He must have had them pre-cut because he had tons of them. He had these push daggers that were entirely made of micarta, and
Yeah.
all he did was zip on the grinder and put kind of an edge on them, and sold them for I think they were $15 or $20, and he was selling those like hotcakes.
Sure.
Like people were loving those things. And I think it had, you know, Niels Vanderberg Master Smith or whatever on the side or something like that. And my friend Rick, he was at Niels' table for a while and Niels had to step away. And he said he sold 15 of them while Niels was away. Like they were just bam, bam. And to get some, like that's the kind of thing, because let's face it, Blade Show is probably the worst place to sell a knife. You have 1,000 competitors in the same building.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Like it's just not anyone. This is a public service announcement. If you think you're going to go to a Blade Show and sell out all your knives and like you're going there banking that I'm going to make this much profit, like you need to check yourself. Or have something that's marketable, that's different, that, you know, or you're a big name and whatever. But
unless you're Brent, I mean, Brent's crushed it.
Yeah.
You know, and here's the tip is, you know, be in that sub $300 range. If you're in the sub $300 range and you make a good clean knife, you're going to sell knives.
Yeah.
Anything above 300, it's going to be, you know, it's tough.
And again, that's exactly, I took a page from Brent's book. Most of what I'm going to be bringing are those new little, and Jerid's laughing because he told me I'll be making the little my new EDC knife, exactly for the same reason. If you're not sub $300, like that's not what people are going to pick up.
They want to buy something from you. You know, like you were saying, people want to buy stuff from me. They want to buy something from you, but you know, they're not everybody's going to walk away with the shark knife. You know, they can't do it. They can't afford it. But they'll walk away with that mini EDC and like I have Jason Knight's Hummingbird. I love that knife. It's like, but I don't have one of his big pieces, of course, but I carry a little Hummingbird from time to time because it was affordable and it's a piece of Jason, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to sell knives at Blade Show, I don't recommend you putting yours next to somebody like Denis Tyrell. It's pretty stupid marketing. So yeah, Brian, I'm gonna put that $500 on that $1,000 deposit for that guru package because obviously I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. But you know, like as simple as that, the farmers market, we have a one here. It's all year round, and every 2 weeks they do a makers meet swap there. So there's a farmers market every weekend on Saturday, and then every other week they do like a makers mart type thing.
Oh, I might want some info on that and get in on that.
Well, you're not getting anywhere near that fucker, okay? So fuck out of Brent. Yeah, okay? You handle your side of the mountain, I'll take care of this side, okay? All right? No, so that's been a goal of mine is to, you know, but it takes, you know, building up inventory, right? And those little trinkets, the bottle openers, the spoons, you know, that's why I was, you know, when I was talking about those things last year, like that was like that, and exactly what you were saying, right? Because you're selling the product, but you're selling yourself, and people want a piece of you. And so I'm that's a goal of mine. I think it's going to be a realistic one this summer, because you know, I'm trying to motivate myself to get going, right? I mean, and I think yesterday was like a really good example of, you know, I was, you know, say 75% done with this knife, right? And then, you know, when we talked, you know, you're like, there's no way you're going to finish that in 2 hours, right? And I didn't. It took later on in the day. I was about 4 hours away from finishing it. But they were trying to leave, and I had to do a couple of things, right? But I didn't have the time to allow my brain to overthink it, right? I know the processes. I know how to get the shit done. I just had to do it, right? Without overthinking and stepping on my own dick along the way. And I got the shit done and knocked out in like record speed. And I was so shocked afterwards. I came back upstairs and I was talking to my wife, and I was like, God, I really knocked. She goes, yeah. I said, do I look tired? She says, oh yeah, you look tired. I'm like, but because I was stressed out about, you know, finishing it, but
because you're stepping on your dick the whole time, apparently. That's why you were tired.
It's a small leaf, dude. It's not. I really wasn't. I maybe hit it on something, which reminds me that I almost stabbed myself a couple times this week too. So I put the knife in my knife vise so there's this guy, he has a YouTube channel. His name's Denis Tyrell. He just did a beginner series, and I just kind of happened to watch it. If you don't, you know, do that, you should check it out. It's normally really, really good content and pretty educational. But he was talking about, that when you're sanding the spine on the knife side, not the handle side, that, oftentimes we forget to take care of that spot when we sand the bevels and the flats. So I turned the bitch around, put it handle first into the knife vise, and started sanding the front, the top part of the spine. And I got up and I walked away. And I'm not. Yeah, that's just now. I'm gonna put like some big ass red sign or
A
something
little
on
red
there,
flag
or
on it.
leave or something, dude. Because this little ass, knife sitting out. It's in a different spot of my shop that it's ever went, and I came zipping right by it, and it just caught. I mean, that's why PPE aprons. I think Brian, you've said you wear like a leather apron in there when you're
Yeah.
doing
What
stuff
if
like
you
religiously.
what if you 3D printed a sleeve, kind of a universal sleeve that would slide over the blade, at least over half of it or something, just to keep it from being stabby while it's in there?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Something, because it was so stupid and simple and fast, and thankfully I just grazed myself, and it ripped my shirt. It ripped my tank top that I have underneath it. It didn't it
Oh my
didn't get
God.
me, but like a couple inches this way, and I would have impaled myself. I was like, that's good content, but not something I really want to experience. But uh,
Hey,
so
we're an hour in and we haven't done any ads, so we should probably get into one. Hey, Brian, if you needed knife making supplies, where would you go?
Oh, hands down, I would talk to Lawrence Lake over at Maritime Knife Supply.
me
He's got
too.
everything you need, from abrasives to machines, to steel to pins to handle material. I'm pretty sure that you connected Lawrence with Oleg, which he has a pile of Oleg stuff over there. And he doesn't do promo codes, so we can't really say the promo code because there isn't one. But I will say he ships every single day to the United States, and sometimes it gets to you faster than it does his Canadian cousins. I've heard. Anyway, I've heard some of this.
Yeah,
But of
Lawrence is
course,
the man, and he's a pretty good looking Canadian, like all the Canadians.
darn fine looking gentleman. Absolutely darn fine looking gentleman. He's
Heard he,
doppelganger almost for a few
yeah,
famous people out
heard he
there.
just announced his retirement. It's weird.
He'd better not.
That's funny.
I
Gave up the accounting.
I got to put an order in next week.
That's funny.
And you know
I
who?
just bought some of his hex stock. He's
Oh
got
yeah,
that
yeah.
1080 hex. Brent bought a few sticks of it, and then I bought some. And we're doing some cool little trays out of it and stuff. But and then Mike the Knife Johnson came down from Long Island to see his mom, and his mom lives like right near us. So he's like, "Hey, can I come by your shop
Is
on
that the really
Friday?"
tall
And
guy?
yeah, the
Yeah,
real
yeah, yeah.
tall dude. Yeah, Mike the Knife. He's friends with. How I met him was through James over at Wasteland
Oh, okay.
Forge, and we became instant friends. And then, of course, he comes to Blade Show every year. Well, he let me know. He's like, "Hey, I'm down there all the time. My mom, she lives down there in the winter, and I need to come check on her. She just had surgery and yada yada. But is it cool if I come and hang out in the shop?" And then he came down and we took one of Lawrence's big hex stock and he made that really great like kitchen chopper integral out of that, and we just had a blast. So, but yeah, so go check out MaritimeKnifeSupply.com.
And also, who I turned Lawrence on was our other sponsor, who was Two Bastards, Texas Smithy and Supplies. If you need a hammer, go talk to Frank. He will set you up. He is the man making hammers. He makes hundreds of hammers a year. He also repairs them. It's my go-to hammer, so definitely go check out Two Bastards. That's Bastards with an E, and go check him out. He will also be at Blade Show this year, and I think he's going to be at Thursday night at Neil's place. So if you haven't met Frank, you will. He's a good guy to get to know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that actually. I love those hammers. His style is so interesting. I absolutely love his work. So I can't wait to meet him and see some of his stuff. Is he going to have a table or is he
I don't
just
remember.
coming?
He's definitely coming. I don't remember if he's going to have a table, honestly.
Okay.
I think he's because I think this is his first time at Blade Show proper. He's done the Texas one a lot, but I don't know if he's done the Atlanta one. I think this is his first time, so I don't remember if he's got a table. I don't think he does.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but Lawrence also sells his hammers over at Maritime, so you can get them there too if you live in Canada.
Fantastic.
Hey, well, we talked about the beginner series. Since we got Brian here, we're going to be giving away, or I'm going to be giving away, that beginner series knife to one of my patrons. I have all my patrons put up here in a spreadsheet, and I've randomized the numbers, and I'm going to get Brian to pick a number. So again, the silver members have 1 entry, gold members get 2 entries, and diamond members get 5 entries. So total, we got 201 entries. So Brian, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 201, and that's going to be who wins this knife. Now, before you pick a number, I will say that if we pick someone where they got crazy knife laws that I can't send them to them, we may redraw this, but we'll see who this comes up with, and I'll work that out in the end, but we'll see how that goes. All right, 1 and 201.
I am going to pick number 57 after one of my favorite condiments, ketchup.
57.
Heinz 57.
57 is Matthew Hamby. Matthew Hamby, who is a silver member. I will reach out to you, Matthew, over email. You've won the beginner series knife and matching sheath that we just did the sheath video last week. Yeah, I'll be in contact, Matthew. So congrats. Cool.
That was cool. Way to go, Matt.
Yeah, at some point, I'm also going to redo, I think I got a bunch of videos to do first, but I am going to restart that intermediate series and redo the intermediate series, which is a more complex knife, hidden tang, guard, which made me think today, Jerid, when did you join the ABS?
Shut up.
TikTok, let's go.
Come on, when was it, last year?
It was the year before.
The year before, so you got another year, and you can test for journeyman. So we got to get you moving on some hidden tang knives.
Yes, that is true. All factual statements there, sir. Thank you.
We're doing it because honestly, that's something I'm really looking forward to. Is you starting to work on your journeyman knives?
Yeah, that's because you're an ass, right? And I got to watch you do all that and stress your balls off, and that was a good time. Yeah. So yeah, all right.
We're gonna get you there. I'm looking forward to it.
I think the intermediate series is going to be fantastic. I think it's obviously the nice transition from the beginner series, but there's a lot of good information and things that I think is valuable to us makers out there.
I'm curious on the series videos, Dennis. So do you notice a pattern of, you're creating obviously a series of videos that has a theme, and these people get a chance to follow along with what you're doing. Are you noticing growth as a result of the series itself, or are particular videos being plucked by the algorithm and fed out and doing better?
That's a good question. There's certainly, I don't know that it's, how do I put that? I think there's certain videos that are more popular because of the content. Like everyone likes the grinding videos because they want the grinding tips. And there's certain videos that that I think are more popular because of that. Because even my experienced audience, meaning, my audience that have been there a while, they've seen the beginner series, but they're still going to watch the grinding videos because they might learn a little tidbit or something like that. Whereas if it's maybe applying a handle, I think some of those, once you know how to do that, there's not as many little tips or things you're going to glean out of that video. So that's my belief. And also looking at the stats, like certainly the grinding videos and those are more popular. But for me, the series, it's also, I spend a lot of time on Facebook. I spend a lot of time in the Facebook groups, specifically so I can respond to questions in Facebook groups with links to the videos, because I want to hook that person into the channel. I'm like, oh, here's this video in the beginner series. Oh, here's a link to the
Brilliant.
playlist.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Because I want to set that hook, or maybe they don't know me because it's just my name in the Facebook group. They don't know who I am. And then get them into the channel, get them watching, things like that. So yeah, I'm getting viewers one at a time.
Yeah, but that's how it's done now. I mean, it's I was listening to Making It with Jimmy DiResta, Bob Claggett, and Dave, and they were talking about this. The guy that runs Patreon, I can't think of it. Conti is his last name. He gave a kind of a TED talk at South by Southwest, and whatever the presentation whatever you want to call it. And he was talking about how the follower is dead, like subscriberships and followers. That whole concept is now. Granted, we're talking to the guy who runs Patreon here, so that
Right.
I mean, he's trying to convince you that that you need a community of people to you need 1,000 people is what he's saying in the video, is that you need 1,000 people that are diehard Denis Tyrell fans or Jerid fans or whatever to really grow and get big. And April Wilkerson used this terminology like 10 years ago. She was like, your core 100. She talked about you have a core 100 group of people that like support your work. And then that'll grow over time because they're the ones that are kind of like, commenting constantly and sharing your videos and supporting you, because you can't do the work of 100 people. You just can't. I mean, it's just that simple. You need this community of people to do that work. And so I think it's brilliant what you're doing on Facebook by sharing those video links, because you're helping someone for free. You're telling them like, hey, this is how I do it. You can watch me do it in this video. And then they go, you know what? I'm going to subscribe to that guy's channel. And then when you come out with a hand sanding machine or you come out with a sharpening kit or something like that, they're more likely to be a customer of yours because they've had great interactions with you online. And that's what we've been doing at Housemade for years, and it's really worked. It's like I respond to all those guys that are trying to wire up their VFDs. Hey, I've done this before. Did you follow this diagram and watch this video? If you haven't, watch it. And 99% of the time, they come back with, hey, that solved my problem. Thank you so much. I might not sell that guy anything today, but chances are, in a year or 5 years or whatever, they're going to be a Housemade customer. And that's how business should be done.
Yeah.
So I love it.
In the Forges group, that PID controller Forge video, that thing has got a lot of legs.
Yeah.
I get a lot of questions on that one, and I send people that one a lot. And that's been a great video as far as, Amazon associates, because they go and buy the PIDs and all that stuff, and just interaction. So, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about just helping the community gives back, right?
Yep, that's people it.
Go into your videos and things like that.
Almost all success comes from just simply being useful.
Totally.
That's it. It's the one thing you got to do, just be useful. So.
All right. Well, we're already an hour and 15 in. What else did we want to cover, Jerid? I think I got the main things I wanted to cover today, which was the big announcement. Oh, we do have a comment. I wanted to go over the comment of the week because I thought it was pretty funny. But what else is on your list, Jerid?
I want to hear this comment, dude. I laughed my
I love the
ass
comments.
off.
Oh, okay, because you read it in the notes.
I laughed my ass off.
So there's one that I got. This is just okay. I'll admit, when I usually post comment of the week, it's usually either a dumbass comment or something funny. But I did want to post something positive that I got, and I always forget to put what video it was. But if someone posted a comment that said, brother, you are awesome. Exactly the information I was hoping for in forge welding. You made my day. And that made me happy. Like to read that comment. I think it was on my five tips to better forge welding or something. Like it's a really old video too, so he must have Googled it or something. And I was really, that lit me up that day. I was in a good way. But the funny comment I grabbed from Mr. Owner Kaglar, because he posted this one on Instagram. So I thought this was hilarious. So I'm stealing it as our comment of the week. So Owner gets this comment, and the guy puts it in all caps. And it says, "Dislike for neck tattoos." It's what the guy says in his comment. I'm going to read word for word what Owner says in his reply, because I didn't know where this was going until I got to the end of it. So this is what it says. It says, "The Amazon River runs for thousands of miles. At some point, it runs through areas of the rainforest that are untouched and have barely been explored. Because of the porous limestone in these areas, the river water leaks through the stone and travels deep into the earth and forms underground pools, almost a mile beneath the surface. Over thousands of years, small, blind, transparent fish have lived and evolved in these ponds. These fish have never seen the sun or surface. These fish care more about this than I do." Which I thought was hilarious, because like he's basically making the guy read the whole response for a big fuck you at the end. Oh man,
Gotta love YouTube.
yeah.
It is a sea of you never know what you're gonna get. It's like most of my comments are positive, and then some of them are just so batshit off the wall. You're like, wow, wow, wow. The person that wrote this comment, like mental health issues or something, and you kind of feel sorry for them a little bit. But my favorite was the one that I educated people on how to remove the weld seam on the inside of a piece of tube steel, and I use a pneumatic file to do it, like a pneumatic belt grinder, like a small one.
Mm-hmm.
And I lead up to it with all the different things, and yes, I'm wordy a little bit. But the reason why this video went viral is because so many people disliked how long it took me to get to that answer, right? And my favorite thing now is the fuck you for wasting 5 minutes of my time, and you show me this fucking pneumatic file and blah blah blah. And I hit the thumbs up and the heart button, because I know it pops up on their phone as like the author comment, like liked this comment, and then I'll just say thank you so much for watching.
I think it was John Norwood said in was it him? Maybe it wasn't him, but because we have this discussion, this Discord chat in all the challenges, so all the makers talk. And I think someone wrote this, like some viewer wrote this like dissertation on why you're an idiot about how you made this sword or whatever. And and whoever said, I think it was John, said like TLDR, too long, didn't read. Thanks for watching.
Oh my god.
Which I thought
Was it the samurai challenge that someone wrote that on?
I think it was, because we were talking about it at the beginning of this challenge. But
how could you ever criticize John Norwood on that sword? The painstaking, to make the little guard and everything, and the failures and the over and over, and I'm just like, John, when I watch that video, I'm like, if he doesn't win, this is it. Like this is the one that has to win, and he did. So it was just great. It was great.
I got a surprise for John at Blade Show, and I'm not going to give it away, but you'll see.
Okay. Don't you just love John's hugs at Blade Show?
Oh yeah.
You got to see him after he's had about 5 or 6 beers, but they're the best.
I always run into him with the backpack of beer.
Yes.
After he's had a few, and then we stand there and have a half dozen together.
And he's hugging you, and he's like squeezing the life out of you and picking you up off the floor. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I really was looking forward to John and Spencer, and we could like maybe convince him to have like an arm wrestling contest or something like that. But,
oh my gosh, that'd be great.
I don't think Spencer's going to make it.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I was bummed to hear that, man.
Yeah, he's got work and like he'll be on nights, and it's just I don't think it's going to happen. But
bummer.
I may have him come down to my shop in the winter when he's off, and I think we're going to do something fun in the winter. So we'll see. He can come to sunny California in the winter.
Sure.
Yeah, he just sent a message about I was doing. Lawrence posted that old time lapse video of us forging.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then he responded that with, "Tell Jerid he needs to get a haircut." And so I started chatting with him about that and found out. But now it's like becoming a thing because Lawrence is doing a countdown and how many haircuts till Blade Show. I think that was pretty damn cool.
I think Brian might be on your side though, because he's always pretty clean cut. I get a feeling he gets a haircut every couple of weeks.
Every week I have to. I cut my
Thank
own
you,
hair,
Brian.
actually. I
Thank
do
you.
every year.
It is a thing going on right now that we are totally outnumbered and ganged
Brian,
up on.
if I knew that, I
hairy
wouldn't have on this week, you brown noser.
This is such good news. And it's looking really nice too, by the way, Brian. Thank you. Absolutely. I mean, just
you want to go to Brian's shop and make some cock and balls? Is that what it is?
And whatever it is, man. I know we'll be nice and well kept there.
This year after Blade Show, there's a few folks coming down, but we're just doing a very light thing. We're not doing like a crazy foundry thing like we did last year, so it should be pretty fun. But we're doing just kind of a brief get together, and it's almost everybody that's coming is from overseas. So we're doing the Euro tour, the house-made Euro tour.
Yeah, Toby's going right.
Toby Mural. We've got Matt Bicker and Matt Bicker's dad are coming down. The Nordic Edge, Ben, what's his name? Oh my God, he's going to kill me now. The guy from Nordic Edge is coming, and they're all basically just going to hang out, and because they are coming over from overseas and they're so close, they're like, "Hey, is there any way?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you guys can come down and hang out." Like, no joke. Like, I'm open to that. It's just, we're going to do a little lighter theme this year and stuff, and not do the actual foundry. Of course, it's probably going to get a little crazy a couple nights, but it should be fun. And they've just never been to that part of the world before, so they want to come down and hang out. So, yeah.
Hey,
so it should be good.
Is Dexter? Is he going to Blade Show, or is he going to be like off to the military?
We don't know yet. So we're waiting on some medical records to get. I guess if you've ever had any surgery, and he had like minor surgery when he was 7, you have to have all that paperwork into the Air Force and I guess any military branch, and then they got to review it and all this. We're still waiting on that, so we don't know when he's actually going to go to basic. So we're just kind of waiting. So hopefully he does get a chance. We were hoping that he would be around for Blade, and it looks like he will be. So he'll probably end up coming. Yeah.
The reason is I'm bringing my son this year, and they're the same age. So
oh, cool. Okay.
Parker might have somebody to hang out with besides hanging out with Dad and his crazy friends.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that is one thing we needed to work out, but yeah, and you never know. Like when you sign that paper, they can pull you at any moment. So it just depends. So he may not be there, but maybe he will. So
all right, well,
should be good.
Even if he's not, he's got his own adventure to go off to. So
you can't not have a good time there. There's always somebody to hang around with there. So yeah, for sure.
Definitely good times.
Cool. Well, I think we should call it a show unless we got any other items.
I can't think of anything.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Again, thank you for all your help and support and friendship over the years. You helped make this transition I'm about to go into a little easier, a little more possible. So
absolutely, I can't wait to see what you do with it, Denis, dude. It's going to be great to watch. Here's what I'm really interested in is to see now that you're unencumbered with like daily work, like your mind is not focused on your day job, to see how much more you're going to put into this, because you're already doing so much. In fact, it's like I always think like, God, I don't know how he does it all, to be honest. Like work a full-time job, you have a family, you have all these things, and you do all the work you do for the community of knife making and your tooling and your videos and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see when you're not, focused 8 hours a day or whatever it is on your day job, where you take this. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to start some new designs, some new Damascus patterns, and yeah, I'm super excited to get things going. So we'll see.
Yeah. And in all seriousness, man, I'm super excited for you, my friend. I mean, it's huge news and just a hell of a leap to do it, during this time, But this is maybe I'm talking to myself, but this is a prime example of what happens when somebody makes consistent right choices, educated, and learns when they have to, falls down, gets up, but over a lifetime, right? I mean, you didn't just get here in the short time that we've known you, right? You've been planning and doing this stuff, and as an adult for all these years to get you in a position where you can do this, and it's a very, very cool when you watch somebody, especially somebody that you know and care about, get to this part of their life and enjoy it, right? And have the opportunity to do so. So, I'm proud of you, buddy. So,
Well,
and wish you the best of luck.
and thank you too. I mean, Jared's known about this for a while, but thank you. You've been there.
Yeah.
He's my brother from another mother, so to speak. He's always in the shop. I love having him around, and having him on this podcast and our friendship is super valuable. So thanks, Jared.
So hurry up and get successful so I can retire early.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm
You
trying to fucking
want to
say,
be my
okay?
friend, right?
God damn. Yeah,
I'm just
yeah, yeah.
throwing this out there that, there Forged in Fire is no longer a thing. There is a deep hole in the bladesmithing television market right now. And you already pretty much have like the challenge thing going on. I'm just saying, just throwing this out there, that if somebody created a TV show around this, it could be pretty successful. I think it would get picked up, honestly.
Yeah.
So
You know anybody? Send me some numbers.
Yeah, you were
I
in
think
broadcasting at one point, right?
I don't. I do know the Forge and Fire guys, but like that, I mean, they're everybody knows them,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're all in that whole thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think you start fresh. I think in that case, you would bring them on as like guest judges. I think they would definitely do it for sure.
We'll see. Food for thought.
So
All right,
something to think
folks.
about.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for Brian for joining us. And we're going to call this a show.
Let's go. And that's a wrap.